Okay, hello. So today what we're going to be learning is a trap in the Ruy Lopez, known as Alapin's fishbowl trap, as I'm sure you can see by the title and thumbnail. So before we get into it, just a little bit of background information about the opening itself, the Ruy Lopez. It was first devised in the 16th century by a Spanish priest called Ruy Lopez de Segura, and ever since then has been known as one of the most theoretically sound and solid um, openings in the game of chess. You see it all the time at grandmaster level. You see it all the time anywhere below grandmaster level. It's sort of, you haven't played chess really if you haven't seen the Ruy Lopez. So what we're going to look at today is a trap in this line. And playing black, you might be frustrated with the sort of white's annoyingly solid, consistent Ruy Lopez opening. And you might not want to learn all the mainline theory, the Cosio defense, the old Steinitz, the Morphy defense, etc. You might not want to invest all your time in that. And so what I'm going to teach you today is a slightly, you're going to have to learn a little bit of the theory, and that much I'll teach you today. But this is potentially going to be something white hasn't seen before, especially at lower elos. So if you're just playing chess for a bit of fun, definitely give this one a try. All right, so we start with e4, e5, knight f3, and knight c6. As we've seen before, this could easily be an Italian game. It could be a Scotch game, etc. It could be a Ponziani. But no, this bishop b5 move here is what categorizes the Ruy Lopez opening. So bishop b5, immediately putting pressure on this knight. What black can do here is, as I mentioned, there's a lot of things. There's the old Steinitz, there's the Cosio, there's the Berlin. But what we're going to look at today is the Morphy defense, named after Paul Morphy, as I'm sure you can guess. In my last video on the opera game by Paul Morphy, I conveyed just how much of a fan of his I was. He is potentially one of the greatest, if not the greatest chess player of all time. Historically, sort of considering there were no engines back in his day. And just go check out the other video, search Paul Morphy, have a look. But today we're going to use the Morphy defense, which is to play a6 here. Now, this bishop sort of has two options. There's no point in sort of regressing along this diagonal. You've lost tempo there if you do so. If you, for instance, play bishop c4, you're then playing an Italian, but with a6 already played for black. And why not then just play the Italian and not give black this extra move, sort of controlling this b5 square, which is quite important. So, they've got two moves. Either you can take this knight on c6 with the bishop, known as the exchange variation, in which case black would recapture with the d pawn to sort of open this queen to come into maybe d4. For instance, if the knight takes here, let's just quickly show that. If the knight thinks it can pick up a free pawn here, it absolutely cannot, because after queen d4, the knight comes back to f3, and you're going to pick up this pawn with check, because that queen did hit both of them. So yeah, just that's important. If you're playing this defense, know to take with the d pawn, not the b pawn. The d pawn leaves you far more advantaged. But after queen e2 and some trading, you're not going to really see king f1 in this situation. But if you do, it's going to be sort of it's going to be good for you. So after queen e2, just trade, etc. You're going to be doing very well here if your opponent plays like this. However, the exchange variation is not what we're looking at today. We're looking at if they play bishop to a4, keeping the pressure on this knight. So what the Columbus variation, by the way, this is what that's referred to as. What we're going to play here as black is b5. Again, kicking this bishop, and now the bishop's really only got one move. There's no other move on the board for white that is winning. Everything else is completely losing. You see d4 is the next best move, and black is just going to claim this bishop. So white is forced into playing bishop b3. And what I'm going to get you to play here is d6. Now, the reason I want you to play d6 is, it strengthens the center somewhat, in which there's pressure on. But most importantly, it opens this beautiful diagonal here for your light squared bishop. And that's what we're going to use later in the trap. So what we can see here, there's a lot of logical moves, developing a knight, potentially playing d3 themselves, You know, there's a lot of logical moves, maybe even striking with a4. But what you'll see a lot of the time is castles here. That's part of the idea of the Ruy Lopez. Get this bishop and knight out sort of quick with sort of tempo. And, you know, then all of a sudden you're going to be able to castle very early. Black's nowhere near castling. It's quite an attractive, easy to play opening for white. That's why you'll see it a lot, especially at lower elos. What we're then going to see here is this is where the trap sort of starts. We're going to play bishop g4, pinning this knight against the queen, and you know, putting pressure on this knight. Now, white's best move, in fact, and the most intuitive, is to kick this bishop with h3. So, you know, the bishop now has to move. Or does it? No, it doesn't, because what we're going to do is play h5 here. Now, some of you may be looking at your screens, what the hell is going on? What kind of a terrible move is that? However, this is what our trap, this is where our trap comes in. Because notice what happens if they take the bishop. Takes and takes. Now, if they take the bishop, I can almost guarantee, because taking the bishop is slightly suboptimal, I can almost guarantee they won't then decide to play d3 here, sacrificing this knight. And even if they do so, you're going to have a very nice game because of this rook, which is coming straight into their castled king. If they try and save this knight, which is the sort of main idea behind this trap, well, the knight can't go here or here. It can't go here, and it can't go here. It can't go here and here, obviously, due to the fact there are pieces there. So the knight's left with two sort of moves to, you know, not be in danger in the minds of your opponents. Let's see what happens if knight to h2. Oh dear, look at the eval bar. All of a sudden, we can bring our queen into h4 on this beautiful open diagonal here, and then look at this. We're threatening checkmate already. How does white stop this? Well, you know, one idea, there's actually only two moves that stop this this mate. If they play f4, what we're going to simply do is take this knight. Their king is going to be forced to here. We're going to be able to come back to here with the queen. Their king is going to be forced into e3. Or not necessarily forced, but this is, you know, if king e2, then we can bring our knight into d4. It's going to be a very, very, very horrible game for white. You know, as we come in here with this queen move, they're going to be forced to bring the rook up here because, you know, if you move the king, you're getting mated in one. Let's just show that with this knight d4, beautiful little mate there. You know, the queen holds all of these squares and the knight delivers the check. So, you know, they're going to be forced to play like a rook move here. You're simply going to pick that up. And then, you know, they're going to take it with queen most likely. You're going to pick this up with check. Effectively, what I'm trying to show you is this game's completely over for white. Feel free to have a look at this line yourself and what happens after. But, you know, there's not enough time in the video to show just everything and the entire continuation. But I'm sure you can agree this is a completely winning position for black. You know, if king e2, if king e2, then you're getting mated as white. And so the king has to come to d3. And then even if you want to just exchange queens here and then play with 6 more material, you're going to win this game. The king's all the way out here. You know, you can even come in with knight e5 check and win this actually far better. So, yeah, you can see how very, very bad things happen if they play f4 in this scenario. However, you know, that is the best move. Now, they could also find this bishop takes on f7 idea, in which case just take that bishop and then they're going to play f4. And then the same sort of line happens. It's just that they've sacrificed this bishop to stall an extra move. So, you know, that's not ideal. But if they don't find this move, if they, for instance, try to play f3, well, what you're simply going to do is move this really powerful pawn in here, g3. You're going to clamp down on the king here. The king's really got nowhere to go. What they're going to try and do is, you know, potentially they're going to play a rook move to, you know, give some space for the king once you take on here. The king is then going to be forced into here. And what we actually can see here is a beautiful knight d4 idea. And, you know, after they sack this bishop just to stall, what else are they going to play? absolutely nothing to stop this queen coming into h1 and delivering checkmate. You know, that's just, it's unstoppable. The knight holds this square. That's why knight d4 was necessary. The pawn holds this square, and obviously they can't move to where their pieces already are. So this mate, you know, you'll find this mate a lot, especially if they play this knight move. It's going to be, you know, if they play this knight move, they've already fallen into the trap. I then highly doubt they'll be able to find all the sorts of f4 and sacking bishop ideas. But even if they do, play intuitive chess. They're effectively giving you pieces to get out of a checkmate, and you're going to be in a completely winning position. Just try not to blunder your queen, as per usual. Right. What we're going to see here is now, just quickly, I want to show what happens if, after you take this pawn, they play knight to e1. It's arguably even worse for them now, because after queen h4, there's only, again, these two ideas. It's very, very similar, that sort of stop checkmate. In fact, sorry, this idea doesn't even stop checkmate now, because there's no rook e1. So effectively, if they try and save their knight and think, okay, so I can get my knight round and out to here somewhere, you know, rework it, and that's sort of their idea. Well, then the only move they've got to find is this bishop takes here, which we've been through what to sort of do if that happens. It's very, very, very similar. It's going to be an easy win for you. So now what happens, the more intuitive move, I think, is to try and create space here, because effectively black's threatening two checkmates. And the only move that actually sort of, you know, gives room for the king on both of them, ignoring this bishop sack, is to push a pawn. So, you know, whichever way they push it, let's for instance say f4, you're going to play g3. It might be tempting to take en passant there. I can rarely resist an en passant take. However, you know, play g3. The king has absolutely nowhere to go now. It's completely locked in here. And effectively now, you know, they're just going to stall by playing, for instance, queen h5. You're just going to take with the rook. And, you know, even if they play this, just move out of the way. And then there's absolutely nothing they can do to stop sort of either one of these checkmates. It's your choice. How good is that? I'm giving you two. You can choose how you mate your opponent. That's how good this trap is. Okay, so that's it from me. Thank you very much for watching. Check out my other videos on my channel. I'm trying to sort of hit 100 subscribers as soon as possible. That would be really cool. Yeah, thank you for watching. I hope you use this trap. Let me know in the comments if it works for any of you. And yeah, enjoy the rest of your day. Like, subscribe.